This is a very significant blow to the already damaged authority of the Prime Minister. It confirms that he's too weak to discharge the basic functions of government. These public health measures would not have gone through if Labour hadn't shown the leadership that the Prime Minister failed to show by voting in the public interest. That's what we did, and it was because of our votes that these measures went through.
Are you calling on the Prime Minister to resign?
Well, the Prime Minister needs to take a long, hard look at himself and ask himself whether he has the authority to take this country through the pandemic. This is a very significant blow for him.
Do you have anything to say to Conservative rebels?
I do, and I say that they should act in the public interest. In the pandemic, the Labour Party that I lead will act in the public interest. These public health measures were necessary. That's why we voted in the public interest to ensure they become law. And it would not have happened if we hadn't voted for them this evening.
You say Conservative MPs should act in the public interest. Are you therefore encouraging Conservative rebels to hand in letters to the 1922 committee?
Well, I think it's very important to understand how deep the breach of trust is between the Prime Minister and his own party. He has an 80-seat majority, and he's just had, 90 or 100 of his own MPs voting against him on a 3-line whip. That's a significant blow to the authority of the Prime Minister, just when we need decisive decisions in this pandemic. It's the worst possible leader at the worst possible time.
So just to be clear, you think the Conservative rebels should try and get rid of the Prime Minister?
Well, the Prime Minister needs to ask himself the question whether he has the authority to lead this country through this pandemic.
Why did you vote with the government? Could you not have voted against them and delivered a bigger blow?
We voted for these public health provisions because it was in the public interest to do so in the middle of a pandemic. We didn't seek party advantage. We acted in the public interest, and the Labour Party I lead will always act in the public interest. We've been doing it through the pandemic. We did it again this evening.
The Prime Minister, in his efforts to encourage some Conservative rebels, seemed to have implied that further restrictions could be coming down the line if more wasn't done soon enough. Do you think that more restrictions should be introduced in the coming weeks?
Well, what we've done is follow the science and talk to the government scientists and other experts and follow the science. It was obvious to me that these measures were necessary this evening, which is why we voted for them. We need to review the evidence regularly and see whether further measures are necessary. But whatever persuasion the Prime Minister tried with his MPs, it evidently didn't work because of this absolute breach of trust between the Prime Minister and his own party.
A number of your shadow cabinet ministers have tested positive for COVID, announced that today. How does that make you feel? Are you changing the way you're acting? Does this change how you think the government should act?
Well, we've followed the rules, and therefore our shadow cabinet meeting was a Zoom meeting again this morning to ensure that we didn't require people to come unnecessarily into the office. A number of shadow cabinet members have got COVID. That is, hard for them and their families at this difficult time. The point of the provisions this evening was to try to ensure the infection rate is kept under a degree of control.
Have you changed your Christmas plans?
Well, our Christmas plans are always very small. We always spend it with our family, and therefore we haven't changed it, but we didn't have elaborate Christmas plans anyway.